you're considering an EMDR intensive, it's normal to ask whether it actually works, and you're not being, doubtful or negative. You're asking, is the thousands of dollars that I'm about to invest going to actually result in relief? Trauma work asks a lot of you, your time, your energy, your nervous system, and so it makes sense to know whether this approach is truly supported, not just by trends, but also by research. So let's talk about what we know. What does the research say about EMDR? EMDR therapy has been studied for decades, and over, research shows that it helps people reduce trauma symptoms and feel less impacted by painful past experiences. And more recent studies from the last 5 years continue to show the same thing. EMDR helps reduce PTSD symptoms, anxiety, depression, and trauma-related distress. And those improvements tend to last, not just show up like right after treatment and then fade later. When they follow up with people a year, 2 years later, they still feel better. Those same things that they've processed remain processed. What matters here isn't just that EMDR works, but how it works. EMDR helps the brain and body finish processing experiences that were overwhelming at the time that they happened. Instead of just talking about the past, the nervous system actually updates. And so those memories lose their emotional charge. So it feels like an actual memory. If you think of a memory that, I always think of I used to fall and skin my knees as a little kid. But when I think of that now, I still have the memory, but it doesn't have any charge with it. I don't feel any physical, emotional pain or like a clench in my gut. That's what happens with EMDR. It helps your body move the stuck things through so that it doesn't hold the charge, doesn't hold pain anymore. So EMDR helps the brain and body finish processing experiences that were overwhelming at the time they happened. And instead of just talking about the past, the nervous system actually gets to update so that memories lose their emotional charge and the past gets to feel like the past. You don't have to convince yourself that you're safe now. Your body just knows that you're safe now. So what does research say specifically about EMDR intensives? So the intensive format, where EMDR is done in longer blocks than your standard weekly sessions, has less research because it's not been as prominent until the last 10 years. But in the last 5 years, we've seen more research looking at this exact question. And here's what the research shows. When EMDR is delivered in an intensive format, people often see strong drops in PTSD symptoms, like they didn't even meet the criteria for PTSD anymore after their intensives. And another important finding is that with intensives, people often experience less distress between sessions in that intensive format, because instead of opening and closing something painful and carrying it for weeks, there's more support for the nervous system to process and settle in that short amount of time. Intensives help experiences from the past feel more resolved and less overwhelming. So does EMDR intensive therapy actually work for many people? Yes. Research from the last 5 years supports EMDR as an effective trauma treatment. And emerging studies on intensive formats show strong outcomes, good safety, and lasting improvements. I'll talk to you soon.